The American Revolution, Freedom, Justice, and the Social Contract. The American Revolution, 1775 to 1783, was not merely a war for independence but a profound ideological transformation rooted in Enlightenment philosophy. Central to this upheaval were the intertwined principles of freedom, justice, and the social contract, which collectively challenged British authority and redefined governance. This essay explores how these concepts fueled the revolution, shaped its outcomes, and revealed enduring contradictions. Philosophical foundations, Enlightenment ideas, and the social contract. The revolution drew heavily from Enlightenment thinkers who reimagined the relationship between rulers and the governed. John Locke's social contract. Locke argued that governments derive legitimacy from the consent of the governed. If a ruler violates natural rights, life, liberty, property, the people may revolt. Colonists cited Locke to justify independence, accusing Britain of tyranny through measures like the Stamp Act, 1765, and Townshend Acts, 1767. Montesquieu's separation of powers, his spirit of the laws, 1748, influenced the U.S. Constitution's checks and balances, ensuring no single branch could replicate British absolutism. Rousseau's general will. The idea that laws should reflect collective good resonated in slogans like "No taxation without representation," highlighting Britain's failure to include colonists in Parliament. Freedom, from colonial subject to independent citizen. The revolution redefined freedom as self-governance and individual rights. Political freedom, breaking from Britain, meant escaping arbitrary rule. The Declaration of Independence, 1776, penned by Jefferson, declared all men are created equal and entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Economic freedom, protesting British mercantilism, e.g. Navigation Acts. Colonists sought control over trade and resources. The Boston Tea Party, 1773, symbolized resistance to monopolistic practices. Religious and press freedom. Post-revolution, states disestablished churches and enshrined free speech in the First Amendment, 1791. Contradictions. Slavery. Enslaved Africans were excluded from Locke's natural rights. The Constitution's Three-Fifths Compromise, 1787, entrenched this hypocrisy. Women and Native Americans. Neither group gained political rights, exposing the revolution's limited scope. 3. Justice. Grievances and the quest for equity. Colonists framed their struggle as a fight against British injustice. Taxation without representation, Parliament's laws, e.g. Tea Act, intolerable acts, imposed burdens without colonial consent, violating the Magna Carta's promise of fair governance. Legal inequities, trials without juries, admiralty courts, and quartering soldiers, Quartering Act of 1765, undermined due process. Moral justice, pamphlets like Thomas Paine's Common Sense, 1776, framed independence as a moral imperative, blending Enlightenment ethics with populist outrage. Post-revolution justice, the Constitution, 1787, and Bill of Rights, 1791, institutionalized protections against tyranny, yet marginalized non-white, non-male, and non-propertied individuals. For the social contract in practice. Building a new nation. The revolution tested Enlightenment theories in real-world governance. Consent of the governed, the Articles of Confederation, 1781, and later the Constitution established governments based on popular sovereignty, though suffrage remained limited. Revolution as last resort. The Declaration justified rebellion as a response to Britain's long train of abuses, per Locke's criteria for dissolving the social contract. Federalist debates. Hamilton, Madison, and Jay's Federalist Papers argued for a balanced republic, blending democracy with safeguards against mob rule. Legacy and contradictions. The revolution's ideals inspired global movements, e.g. French Revolution abolitionism, but fell short of universal application. Abolition and civil rights, the rhetoric of liberty fueled anti-slavery movements culminating in the 13th Amendment, 1865, yet systemic racism persisted. Global influence. From Latin American independence to 20th century decolonization, the revolution's emphasis on self-determination became a global template. Ongoing struggles. The tension between individual rights and collective justice, evident in debates over health care, voting rights, and equality, remains central to U.S. democracy. Conclusion. A revolution unfinished. The American Revolution was a watershed moment in the evolution of freedom, justice, and the social contract. While it dismantled colonial oppression and enshrined Enlightenment ideals, Its failure to address slavery, gender, and racial equity revealed the limits of 18th century liberalism. As Frederick Douglass noted in 1852, "The 4th of July is yours, not mine." The Revolution's legacy thus challenges each generation to expand its promise, a task as urgent today as it was in 1776.